Welcome to No Broken Legs. I am Evan Belfiore. Joining me on the phone on this Thursday afternoon is Jimmy Champ. Jimmy, how are you?
Man, I'm doing okay. I'm hoping for a little bit better week this week. I had a pretty horrible week picking games last week, so hopefully we'll bounce back. We'll make a little bit of money this week.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about my picks from last week. It was a bad week. What I would like to talk about, though, is a trend I've noticed with the betting lines for the Super Bowl odds.
Okay.
There are wild fluctuations in the lines. For example, the Ravens, you can get anywhere from plus 1,200 to plus 1,600.
Wow.
Oh, the Cardinals. A lot of places have them around plus 1,400 to plus 1,600. You can get them for plus 3,000 at DraftKings.
Wow.
And there are all sorts of teams that have lines like this. DraftKings has the Seahawks at plus 2,800. I'm kind of going through, like, you can get the Browns still at plus 1,600. That's also at DraftKings. So it seems like DraftKings, and I saw one earlier that was on MGM. It looks like some of these betting sites are trying to entice more long shot betting.
Yeah.
And that is something to take into mind because I think it's been a weird NFL season so far. I think the league's kind of in flux after COVID. I think a number of good teams are coming down, and there's a number of new teams that are coming up. Thankfully, our Browns are one of them. But usually in those in-between years, you get random championships. So It might be a good time to look at some of those bigger lines. You know, I don't like the Titans at plus 4,000, but the Seahawks at plus 2,800, that's very enticing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I love the Cardinals. I still think the Cardinals are the second or probably the second best team in the NFC West, but those are great odds. And like, if I was a Titan fan, I could probably picture a place where the Titans win every game 49-42 with Derrick Henry rushing for 300 yards. So I might throw $20 at that. Like,
yeah, that's definitely worth 20 or 50 depending on your level of confidence. So definitely shop around out there for Super Bowl odds because Vegas is still figuring these teams out too.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Jimmy, let's get right into it. It's week 5. Our Cleveland Browns are 3-1, but they are heading out west. They are playing the LA Chargers, and they are underdogs in this game. The average is 2, but you can find this line anywhere from Browns plus 1 to Browns plus 2.5. So depending on how you feel about this, shop around, find the best odds. The over-under is 46.5. Jimmy, the Browns are pretty beat up on the offensive side of the ball, but it really hasn't mattered because the defense has been fantastic. They faced their second real test after the Kansas City Chiefs. How do you think the defense responds to Justin Herbert and that Chargers offense?
Well, actually, I think they're facing their third real test because coming into last week, the Minnesota Vikings were a top 5 offense, and now they're a top 12 offense after playing the Browns defense. So I'm going to take the Browns. I locked it in at plus 1.5 and a money line at plus 105. That's the odds that I got yesterday afternoon. So that's what I bet it at, and I'm going to stick with that. I think this game is going to be close either way. I mean, these are very even teams. They're the 11th and 12th best offenses and the number 2 and number 16 defenses. One thing that could bode well for Cleveland, if Baker is feeling okay, Derwin James and one of the Chargers' best cornerbacks did not practices as of this morning. Now, they may practice this afternoon. They might play Sunday. But as of this morning, they did not practice for the week, which could bode really well for the Browns in moving the ball. Like, the Chargers don't stop the run. They're giving up yards at an average of 5.1 yards per carry, and now they have to deal with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And the offensive line is banged up, but they haven't had trouble going straight forward and running the ball. We talked about some really cool concepts, the way they're pulling guards and different kind of counters and traps. And the run game has been on point, even with Baker struggling for a game and a half. And I think the Browns are going to win this game. I think it's going to be close. I think this is a huge game for both of these teams. Like, you know, the Ravens have their weird loss. The Bills have their weird loss. The Chiefs have a loss. Like, this is a big game for these two teams who probably both of them, the Chargers have probably caught the Browns in the way people look at what their playoff ceiling might be this year. And I think this is a huge game for both of these teams.
It probably determines if the winner of this game probably gets a home game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so before we did the pod here, I texted you earlier today because somebody on 92.3 while I was running errands had mentioned that Josh Allen had a left shoulder injury last year and said that you should take a look at Josh Allen's stats from when he was injured, before, during, and after. So considering that it's not the same injury, I don't think, but it's very similar injury. It's a joint sprain in the left shoulder. He had to wear a harness, much like Baker Mayfield has. Before the injury, Josh Allen was completing 70% of his passes, 12 touchdowns to 1 interception. During the injury, when he was hurt, that went down to 62%, 4 TDs, 4 interceptions. Now, what do you think he did when he was healed and he was able to take the brace off and just play?
I'm going to say those numbers shot back up.
31 of 38 for 415 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he added a rushing touchdown. So They can say all they want that shoulder's not bothering Baker Mayfield, but it's bothering Baker Mayfield. And that seems to be one of the primary causes, like I mentioned last week. Also, the offensive line, Wills might not play this week. They're finally considering sitting him after he's been carted off the field the last 2 weeks. So I'm taking the Chargers in this game. I got it at 1. The Browns' offensive line kind of scares me right now in the pass game, and they're going to have to score points to beat the Chargers. I don't think Baker will be as bad as he was last week, but I think we're in for another week or two of Baker's blowing it before he gets healthy and we start seeing the Browns dominate again. So I do think the Browns will drop a game this week. I think they keep it close. I think the defense plays really well. Like, I don't think the Chargers are going to just blow up and put a ton of points on them.
Well, no, they're not going to blow up and put points on them because they can't stop the run. Like, the Browns are going to limit the possessions in this game. Now, did you see the report this morning that they did report Baker has a torn labrum? A partially torn labrum in his shoulder?
Well, okay then. Then that's confirmation of what we had been saying.
Yeah, like, it's not just he's beat up. Like, it's a for-real injury that he's playing through, but he is practicing with the harness. I think the Browns will actually benefit with just sitting Wills this week. Let whoever you're going to put in his spot get the first team reps in practice. Don't make them come in after a couple series. Let them start the game. Work your offense around that. I think for the Browns defense, it's going to be, can Myles Garrett keep eating? He did go ahead this past week. He did go ahead and move into the lead by himself for the NFL sacks right now at 6. Mm-hmm. I believe there's a couple people at 5.5, but he did move it to 6. The Raiders did a very good job of kind of showing you how to limit Keenan Allen and Mike Williams a little bit. But they couldn't get home on the pass rush, so Herbert was able to get into his multiple progressions and reads and complete passes. If the Browns can use the same concepts in the secondary, but the front four can get home, I think the Browns defense can play really well. And like I said, I don't know how Baker's going to play, but maybe like last week, I don't know if it's going to matter if the defense is close to as good as they were last week and Chubb and Hunt continue to do what they do. Like, Browns fans that I've been listening to this week seem surprised that Nick Chubb is second in the league in rushing.
Yeah, and I've been screaming that he should have at least 10 to 15 more carries on the season.
Yeah, but it seems to surprise everybody that he's second to only Derrick Henry. Of course, kudos to King Henry there, but at some point Derrick Henry's going to slow down and hopefully Chubb will be able to pass him. But I believe, and I think Kareem Hunt he's right around top 20 right there. So stick to what's worked. The one piece I did read this week that I did really like is they said a place Baker is struggling is trying to push the ball deep downfield against pressure. He's moving himself into pressure, and he's probably holding onto the ball a little too long trying to hit the big shots. So I do think this week, if he's feeling well enough to throw the football, I think they need to get into more short concepts on a play action, more of the shallow crosses to the tight ends. And Odell, maybe instead of 15-yard crosses, maybe they need to be 8-yard crosses for now. Something like that. Get the ball out of his hand, let him get in rhythm, and then maybe he can play through that injury. But the injury is a big deal. Like, we don't know what it's going to hinder. You know, we talked about these next 3 games, they got to be 2-1 if they want to keep what they want to do alive for the season. They really need to come out of these 3 games 2-1. It doesn't really matter which one's the loss and which ones are the wins, but I would like to see a win against the Chargers for playoff standings. I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's an in-conference win. That would be big. Yeah. Plus, there's a good chance that determines which one of these teams gets home field.
Yeah, I agree. But, I think this is a huge game in the AFC this week. It's 4 o'clock start. I don't know. I didn't look at how Stefanski coaches in 4 o'clock starts. I didn't bother to look at that, but I imagine he'll have the team ready. He kind of fell on the sword for Baker last week, saying he felt a lot of the problems were his fault. Baker got up and said, "Nah, coach was being nice. I played piss poor." We'll see how they counteract that, but I imagine it may be even more rushes than they had last week. Might be the counteraction.
Yeah, and after 20 years of finger pointing and blaming and nonsense, it's great to have people that are just in the organization that are taking responsibility. That's just a great thing. They're holding themselves accountable.
Yeah, when I listened to that press conference, I legitimately could not remember a time where I heard the Browns quarterback and the Browns coach both take responsibility for anything that went wrong in a win. Like it was, Kevin Stefanski didn't have to do that, and Baker didn't have to do that either. Baker could have said, whatever, I played a little bit of a bad game and we still won, but he got up there and said, no, I played piss poor. And Kevin Stefanski went up there and said, I should have called better plays for him. I appreciate that. It's nice to see, like you said, that self-accountability. It's something that's kind of new to the new Browns culture that's building there. But, man, this is going to be an exciting game. But like I said, I think it boils down to short-sleeved Myles Garrett getting home for some more sacks and putting pressure on Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think this is the first real test for that Chargers offensive line. They rebuilt it in the offseason. I just really want to see the Browns defensive line continue to dominate like they have been. And it would be nice to see the offensive line just look healthier because Conklin's beat up on the right side of the line. Teller's, there's already, I'm already seeing the Wyatt Teller has regressed to the mean. So I just want to see the offensive line look a little better in pass protection.
Yeah, I agree, but I think Baker getting the ball out quick will help with that as well. And I do want to say
if they run like the Mac Jones Patriot offense, where it's a lot of crosses, and like the Browns can actually run the ball, so they might be able to do that by spreading them out.
Exactly, and then I do want to say kudos to a guy who we kind of focused for the defense. We thought was could end up being a big free agent pickup. Takk McKinley played a really good game last week, so I want to say, he played really well. We thought he could be a big piece and. This will be a big test for your boy Wu. We'll see how the
Walker might be back. We'll see. Yeah, Walker should be back. I think they said
he should be back, but I don't know how you take snaps away from JOK right now with as well as he's playing. But this is a big game because when Williams and Allen aren't open deep, Justin Herbert checks the ball down in the middle of the field to whoever's open, and that's going to be a big assignment for the linebackers.
Our next game is the Cincinnati Bengals, who are tied with the Browns and Ravens atop the AFC North. They will be hosting the Green Bay Packers. Jimmy, this is only a 3-point spread, and that confused me, so I'm taking Green Bay as a lock. The over-under on this is 50.5. This is a prove-it game for Cincinnati. I don't think they have what it takes to beat a team like Green Bay. Do you?
So here's one thing to look at. Jair Alexander for the Packers might miss this game. And if he does, the Bengals might be able to throw the ball, but I don't think they can score with Green Bay. Thanks to the stinker the Packers put up against the Saints, these teams are almost completely identical in ranks on offense and defense. But I agree. The Packers look right. I'll also take the Packers as a lock at -3. But the Bengals are trending in the right direction. Their defense is looking better. Their offense is looking better. But I don't think they'll be able to put up points with Green Bay.
I think if you grabbed Pittsburgh to finish last in the AFC North, you are very happy right now because Cincinnati is going to finish ahead of Pittsburgh.
I wonder if there was a podcast that might have told people the Bengals might be better than the Steelers. I don't know. There's probably one out there. I don't know. It's possible.
All right, on to the Baltimore Ravens, who will be hosting the Indianapolis Colts. The Ravens are 7-point favorites. The over-under sits at 46. The Colts got a nice win last week against Miami, I guess. Those are teams kind of battling for the bottom of the playoffs. The Dolphins are probably worse than we had anticipated with Jacoby Brissett. The Colts got to win. I like Baltimore here, Jimmy, because I still don't trust Indy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think there's much to say about this one. I think the Ravens are at least 2 scores better than the Colts, so I'll take it at -7. I don't think the Colts can stop the Ravens from whatever the Ravens want to do, and I think the Ravens will get after Carson Wentz. I would look for if you can get a player prop on touches for Naheem Hines, that would probably be a big one because Wentz is going to dump the ball down to him a lot in this game. But I love the Ravens here at -7. I think the Ravens will easily move to 4-1.
Yeah, I love the money line here, even though it's -320. I think you're going to make money on that bet because Baltimore's winning this game.
Yeah, this is definitely the Ravens are definitely the first team to add into a winning parlay for sure.
The aforementioned Pittsburgh Steelers are hosting the Denver Broncos. The Steelers are 1-point favorites. The over/under is 39.5. Jimmy, neither of these teams have a quarterback. What the hell is going to happen here?
This game is going to be ugly. I hate that your boy Drew Lock is playing in this one.
He's bad.
I'll take the Broncos' 4th-ranked defense against the broken Steelers offense. I don't know if Rudolph or Haskins would look better than Ben, but Mike Tomlin, please just keep putting Big Ben out there. We enjoying it here in Cleveland. Just like with the Colts game, if you can find a player prop on touches for Najee Harris, take the over there. And I'm hammering the under in this game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points, but I think the Broncos are going to win this game. I have no reason to believe Pittsburgh can score on a defense that good. And Drew Lock is usually able to create a couple drives a game that make him look like a competent NFL quarterback. So I'm taking the Broncos here.
I'm taking the Broncos too, and I'll probably mix Denver into a whole bunch of money line teases just to help out the odds.
Yeah.
Try and make a little money here.
Yep.
The game, what will be the game of the week in the AFC is Kansas City hosting Buffalo. This is a repeat of last year's AFC Championship game. The Kansas City Chiefs are 3-point favorites. The over/under sits at 56.5, which, considering Kansas City's defense, is woefully low. Kansas City owns Buffalo until proven otherwise, Jimmy. That's what I think here.
Well, I'm going the other way on this one, bud. I'm going to take the Bills at +3, and the money line I saw yesterday was +126. So I love that, man. I don't disagree with you, but this is not the same Chiefs defense or the same Chiefs offensive line. I don't think they're going to be able to slow down Buffalo, and I think Mahomes is going to get into another shootout. And so far this year, after the Cleveland game, every time he's been in a shootout, he's thrown some untimely picks, and Buffalo has done really good at turning turnovers into points. So I'm taking the Bills here. This is going to be a great football game, but like the one thing I would say, if the Chiefs can win this game with their poor defense and Mahomes just being Mahomes, then they can kind of strike the fear back in the league. They can be like, look, this was the team that was supposed to be able to dethrone us. We played our game. We are who we are, and we won. We aren't going anywhere. Or this could be the spot where the Bills get to step up to where a lot of people think they are and kind of open up the AFC and open up the AFC West. I mean, we know the Chiefs are in a little bit of a dogfight out there, so I'm excited for this football games, but I am going to take the Bills.
And it might just be wishful thinking on my part, because if Buffalo wins this game, I don't think there's any way Cleveland can get the 1 seed. I think it's basically Buffalo's to lose. Their schedule's pretty soft throughout the whole season.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. But we talked about that when we did our AFC East preview. We talked about the Bills' schedule. They only had a couple of tough games.
Yeah, 16-1's definitely in play if they win.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, on to the best division in football, the NFC West. All 4 of these teams are playing each other again. It's a lot of fun when they do. The LA Rams will be traveling north to Seattle. The Rams are 2.5-point road favorites. The over-under sits at 54.5. Jimmy, was what we saw from LA against Arizona an aberration, or what's going on with both of these teams? They've been very inconsistent early in the season.
A whole lot of bets I made in the NFC would hope that it was just an aberration for the Rams. I was 100% shocked by the way the Rams came out in that game. Matt Stafford did not look sharp. They took away Cooper Kupp, and he didn't seem to know what to do. And Seattle right now, they seem to just be, hey, Russ, do something magical. Maybe we can win games. That seems to be their game plan right now. I'm taking the Rams. I think the Rams are still the best team in that division. This is a huge Thursday night game. Like Seattle, I don't think Seattle can afford to go to 2-3. I don't think they'll make the playoffs if they lose this game.
No.
But I don't see a path for them winning. Chris Carson is banged up, so he might not play. Like, I'm just trusting what I've seen. It's just hard for me to take Seattle right now because they're very unbalanced. I think the Rams will take away Tyler Lockett, and that has been kind of spelled trouble for Russ when he hasn't been able to get the ball to Tyler Lockett. So if Matt Stafford can just be clean in the pocket and not give the ball away, I think the Rams will win this game by more than a field goal.
Yeah, and you mentioned it before. This would drop Seattle to 0-2 in the division. The 49ers are also 0-2 in the division. And those tiebreakers, the first thing they look at is your division record, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, you're right. One thing I would say, I think a best bet on this game is definitely the over. I got it yesterday at 54.5. I don't know if that's still where it is, but
yeah, that's where it was when I checked before the show.
Yeah, I love that over at 54.5. These teams are going to score points.
The Arizona Cardinals lead that division, Jimmy. They put a whooping on the Rams, as we said earlier. They are hosting the San Francisco 49ers. Cardinals are 5.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 49.5. It looks like Trey Lance is going to get his first start, although Shanahan's being very coy about that. This is sort of a stay away for me because I think if Trey Lance is in there, I think Shanahan's does just enough scheme-wise to limit Arizona's possessions and give San Francisco a chance in this game.
Yeah, I actually really like the 49ers at plus 5.5, and I like the money line at plus 190. I have no reason to believe in Cliff Kingsbury winning a big game like this, and this is a big game. Like, if Arizona could win this game, it would be huge for them. It definitely would take their season ceiling way up. But I have been very critical. I don't think it was a good idea to draft Trey Lance. I don't think he's ready for this role. But I think Shanahan will do enough, and I just feel like this is a game where,
easy for him.
Yeah, and I feel like this San Francisco defense, they can be nasty at times, and I think they're going to actually be the team to get pressure and put some hits on Kyler. And I always feel like Kyler Murray is one hit away from having a bad game. So I actually like the 49ers here. It's going to be hard for me to not bet this game and bet this money line because I don't trust the Cardinals yet. I don't like Trey Lance, but I don't trust the Cardinals yet. So if my gut says I don't trust them, I might as well make some money on them. So.
All right, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are hosting the Miami Dolphins. This is a 10-point spread, Jimmy. I'm making Tampa Bay a lock. The over-under is 48. This would seem to be it for Jacoby Brissett as a starting NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I would agree. I've liked a lot of things I've seen of Jacoby Brissett in the past as a starter. He just hasn't looked good enough to help this team. This team is, they're trending down. I thought this team could be pretty good. We thought maybe they could vie for a playoff spot. It doesn't seem like they're going to be in that conversation at all. They're having a really poor season, really underperforming on both sides of the ball. We know Tampa has a really bad secondary, but I don't think Miami can exploit that at all with Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, that's not his game.
Will Fuller's not going to play, so you don't have that, well, just chuck it up to Fuller and see if he makes a play. 10 seems like a lot. I'm going to take the Bucs. I'm not as confident as you to make it a lock because, it's still 10 points with a team with a pretty bad secondary right now, but I don't think Miami can win this football game.
I think that offense gets in the sunshine after dealing with the rain and Bill Belichick, and they feel like a horse freed.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Our next matchup is the Las Vegas Raiders are hosting the Chicago Bears. The Raiders are 5.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 44.5. Vegas looks like they're coming back to earth maybe a little bit. Chicago looked terrible against Cleveland 2 weeks ago, and then Nagy made some adjustments. He gave up play calling, which is probably a really good thing. What do you think happens with these two teams, or what do you think happens in this game, Jimmy?
Well, I'm not changing my tune on the Raiders. I think they are coming back down to earth a little bit. I'm not a fan of either of these teams, but I'm taking the Bears at plus 5.5 and the money line at plus 205. Justin Fields looked okay. He didn't look really good. He looked okay. He looked better. Hopefully the next step of the playbook is to now open it up and run the ball with Fields a little bit. put some RPOs in there, let him keep it. And if the Bears can win this game, I mean, they can salvage their season a little bit, and Matt Nagy may be able to hold on to his job a little bit longer.
I think Matt Nagy might be the type of head coach that's just good enough to not get fired.
Yeah, it's possible.
But that organization has a lot of problems just because they don't know about Nagy, and maybe he pulls his job out of his ass again. He's like Mitch Trubisky. He just finds ways to perform when it's like everything's on the line, except, in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, the Carolina Panthers, they are hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. The Panthers are 3.5-point favorites. The over-under's 44.5. Jimmy, I'm tired of being wrong. I'm picking the Carolina Panthers and making it a lock. So help me. I am making Sam Darnold a lock in a football game. I've lost my mind, haven't I?
No, not at all. I don't really understand this line. Like, Carolina's defense is vastly better than the Chiefs' defense.
Yeah, they're good.
Philly's offense is nothing like Dallas's offense. Like, I don't understand this line. This is a lock for me with the Panthers. I don't get it. I think the Panthers are going to cruise to a win here. I don't know if I don't know if Stephon Gilmore is going to play. I don't know if they're able to get him suited up and ready that quick. Oh, no, because he still has a couple weeks out. But I do like the Panthers trading for Stephon Gilmore. I think that was a smart move on their part to shore up the cornerback spot they lost with J.C. Horn. So, but yeah, Sam Darnold looks good, dude. Like, I mean, he doesn't look great, but he looks better than he looked in New York. And the offensive game plans have been really good, and McCaffrey might be back as well. To me, this is an easy one. Panthers all the way.
All right, Jimmy, let's talk about Urban Myer.
Okay.
So after the Jaguars lost their game to Cincinnati, in Cincinnati, Urban Myer told the team he didn't fly back with the team because he was going to visit family in Columbus. There is video of him out at the club. There is a young co-ed dancing all up on him, and he put his hands somewhere inappropriate. Oh, and she's obviously not his wife. It's a horrible look for the team. This all came out over the weekend and earlier this week. Myer canceled a team meeting on Monday. He then met with the individual position groups, and apparently what he was selling the players were not buying. Seems like when he left the room, there were like audible laughs and people basically going, "Can you believe this?" So I guess the real question here is, Jimmy, does Urban Myer survive this season in Jacksonville? Does he get out of October as Jacksonville's head coach?
I don't think you fire Urban Myer for this transgression. If you wanted to fire him because he doesn't look prepared and his team doesn't look prepared on Sundays, I get it. But nobody should be surprised by what happened. Now, we will start with, he did not lie to the team about being with his family. There was a family birthday party. There was a family event that he went to first in the same bar. The party was over. He slid down a couple bar stools. He's in Columbus. There's no doubt that wasn't going to happen. Maybe this is what Urban needed. Maybe Urban needed maybe this is what he needed to get his mojo back. I don't know. I will say, as soon as I saw a break, I immediately went and followed Urban Meyer's wife on Twitter because I was curious what she had to say. And she seemed pretty not upset about it. I don't know what's going on there, but she seemed like it didn't seem to bother her that much. It's bad look because thought was...
If Urban Meyer's wife actually wrote that response herself without the help of a PR team, I will be shocked beyond belief. All of this is media. It's all out there. Everybody saw what happened. I think if Urban Myer would have everybody's already said it. If Urban Myer had just gone in front of the team and said, "Guys, I fucked up. I'm going to do better. Just take ownership of it. Let's move forward on to Tennessee." We wouldn't even be talking about it anymore. It already wouldn't be a story.
Oh, you're probably right. But I think the issue is the thought was, Urban Myer may be okay being the head coach of the Jaguars because the Jaguars were the youngest team in the NFL, and they probably have more respect for Urban Myer than older guys because of his performance that they all witnessed with their eyes at Ohio State. And for them to not appear to have his back about this situation at all, it's bad. If Jacksonville comes out flat in this game, Mr. Khan may have a tough decision to make. Who knows? Maybe Urban was trying to sabotage it. Maybe if you fire me now, I don't have to be here to go 0-17. I don't know.
Well, if he was trying to force his way out to go to USC, that's not going to happen. At least not now.
Yeah, no, I agree. But like I said, it's a horrible look for the team. I mean, I didn't like his statement. I didn't really like Mr. Khan's statement. The players seem to be like, man, look at this fucking guy. Like, that seemed to be their reaction, which isn't good either. Like, it is a mess in Jacksonville. And the thing that's sad is you're playing a Titans team that is on the freaking ropes, man. Like, if you
they're terrible.
If you can pull it together at all, you can absolutely beat the Titans. And maybe they will. I don't know. But it was a bad look for Urban. But, I mean, anybody that's surprised by this has apparently not followed Urban Myer much in Urban Meyer's career. Like, there was going to be a transgression of characters somewhere along the line.
Yeah, and I'll just, to further your point about whether your answer to should he be fired, I don't know if he should be fired. What I do know is that if he's not fired, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. It doesn't affect viewership, so the league just doesn't care. I mean, and it's happening during October when they're going to be trying to sell all the pink stuff they can to say how much they care about women and breast cancer. But in reality, they really don't. They don't care.
No. Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
And the viewers don't seem to care either, because the Jacksonville game will probably be more watched this weekend than they have all year.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm taking the Titans. I'm making it a lock. Even outside of all the nonsense, I think Henry just rolls.
Yeah.
All right, the rest of the games aren't very good, Jimmy, so we can kind of cleanse our palate after dealing with Urban Meyer's irresponsibility. The New England Patriots are traveling to Houston to take on the Texans. The Patriots are 8.5-point favorites in this, Jimmy. The over-under sits at 39.5. What should our viewers do with this game?
Like, I'm going to take New England, but this is a stay away for me, except for the under. I don't think these teams are going to score a lot of points, so I would hammer the under.
No.
But I'm going to take New England at plus 8.5, plus 9. I think either one of them. If they can't beat the Texans by 9 points, then there'll be no more talk from anyone about New England and moral victories. The only thing that if New England came out flat, it wouldn't surprise me, because you just coached and your defense played a perfect game last week, but you lost because you have no trust in your quarterback.
The only team New England has scored more than 20 points against is the Jets.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, this New England team isn't good. If the Texans kept it close, it would not surprise me. But I'm going to take New England because this is going to be my last ounce of trust that that Bill Belichick had a big part to play in New England's success. So I am going to take New England, but this is a total stay away for me.
Yeah, I think it's a stay away. I'm going to take Houston because this is an 8.5-point spread. Houston has scored 67 points on the season, and New England has scored 71, which over the course of 4 games is only 4 points. I just don't know how New England scores enough to hit this.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Our next kind of crappy game of the week is the Minnesota Vikings hosting the Detroit Lions. Minnesota, after getting held in check by that Cleveland defense, are 8.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 49.5. Jimmy, I'm going to take Minnesota at home. I think on the offensive side of the ball, they'll find the going much easier against the Lions than the Browns.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if you knew this or not, but we weren't seeing the pissed-off Detroit Lions yet. We're going to get the pissed-off Detroit Lions this week. And it won't matter. This is a lock for me, Vikings.
This is the week that they're showing up. Where have they been, Jimmy? Where have the pissed off Lions been all this time?
Yeah, this is the week they show up. I'm good. I'll take the Vikings as lock.
So if you want to talk about weird lines, the New Orleans Saints are traveling to D.C. to take on the Washington Armada. Like, the same books had different odds on the minus and plus side, and I've never seen that before. Totally blew my mind. Now everything's completely in line, and it's sitting at 2.5, Jimmy. The Saints are favored by 2.5. 44.5 is the over-under. I'll take the Saints, but I think this is a stay away. These teams are horribly inconsistent. Is that defense in Washington in trouble? Like, have we overhyped them? I mean, obviously we've overhyped them. Do you think they can rebound?
Yeah, I definitely think they can rebound. They're definitely overhyped, but playing against Jameis Winston can make it okay. I got the Armada yesterday at +1.5 and a money line at +110. So I'm taking the Armada. That's the team I like. These are just two mediocre teams at best. Neither of these teams are going to fight for divisions. But I like the Armada here.
Yeah, and the team that looks like it's going to win the NFC East by default is the Dallas Cowboys. They are going to be home hosting the New York Giants, who finally got a win. I'm taking the Cowboys. I'm making it a lock. I don't care that it's a 7-point spread. The over-under sits at 52. I just think the Giants are a bad football team.
Yeah, there's nothing else to be said. The Giants are bad. The Cowboys look good. Cowboys -7. Make it a lock.
All right, and our last game features probably the two worst teams in the league. I waved the white flag on the Atlanta Falcons. I was hoping that they would be the surprise team in the NFC South. It's clearly Carolina. The Falcons are terrible, Jimmy. They're hosting the Jets and getting the gentleman's 3 for being the home team. The over-under sits at 46. Zach Wilson is kind of looking okay. Looks like he's growing a little bit. Do you see that as well?
Yeah, he's looking better, which that should happen. He's not always going to look horrible, but I don't think he's going to look much better than he's looked lately. I don't think he's going to get to be much more ever than an average NFL quarterback. I told you the Falcons were going to stink, but I still think the Falcons are going to win this football game.
Yeah, I'm taking the Falcons too.
Yeah, I don't think it matters because I think this is a field goal game, so it's a push any way you go. But this is a game that I will not watch a snap of. I don't want to watch this ugliness. Boo to this game, but I think the Falcons will win.
If Atlanta can't beat the Jets, just stick a fork in Matt Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this should be a game that Matt Ryan's just, I'm the best player on the field, we're winning this game. But I'm taking the Falcons, but if you bet this game, that's just poor. Don't do that. These teams suck. Any final thoughts here as we get into Week 5? Some big NFC West matchups, and then we have the two big AFC matchups, Kansas City, Buffalo, Cleveland, and LA, Jimmy.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, those 4 games are going to kind of be big. They're going to make big moves for Week 17. Like, these games are really important for both, for all 4 teams, or for all 16 teams,
8.
all 8 teams, all 8 teams. Yeah, it's going to be a fun week. I think those games are big. This is definitely the best Thursday night game we've had in a while. I can't wait to watch it tonight. I think the Rams will take care of business, but I can't wait for the 4:00 Chargers Browns game. I think it's going to be a really good football game and a good measuring stick for both teams.
Yeah, I just want to see the Browns offensive line look a little better against that Chargers front than they have in the previous 4 weeks. Obviously, we want to see Baker throw the ball better. He was so inaccurate and just off completely. The only other thing I'd really say is, if Seattle gets a win, are they for real? And what do we see from Arizona? But that's all I got, Jimmy. Anything else?
No, man, not at all. Just excited for some football tonight.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me today, Jimmy.
Yes, sir. No place I'd rather be, brother.
All right, and thank you for listening. For Jimmy Champ, I'm Evan Belfiore, and thank you for listening to No Broken Legs.
Every action has a repercussion. Lyrical bullets don't make me get the buzz.